What was it like to be a woman in the late Roman Empire, a period that spanned from the 3rd to the 5th centuries AD? The late Roman Empire was a time of political turmoil, military invasions, economic decline, and cultural transformation. It was also a time when women faced many challenges and opportunities depending on their social status, location, and personal circumstances. How did women cope with the changing world around them? What roles did they play in society, religion, and family? The Roman Empire was a vast and powerful state that dominated the Mediterranean world and beyond for centuries. It reached its peak of expansion and prosperity in the 1st and 2nd centuries AD under the rule of the 5 good emperors. However, it also faced many challenges and crises in the 3rd and 4th centuries AD, such as civil wars, barbarian invasions, economic decline, political corruption, religious conflicts, and military reforms. The Roman Empire was eventually divided into two parts in 395 AD, the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire, which continued to exist until 476 AD and 1453 AD respectively. Women in the late Roman Empire were treated differently based on their citizenship, social status, marital status, and religious beliefs. Women who were Roman citizens had some basic rights and privileges, such as owning property, making contracts, suing or being sued, inheriting or bequeathing wealth, and receiving education. However, they were also subject to some restrictions and limitations, such as being excluded from public office, military service, jury duty, voting rights, and certain professions. These women had some responsibilities in society, such as participating in public ceremonies, festivals, or games, patronizing arts, literature, or education, supporting charities, temples, or public works, or joining religious cults, clubs, or associations. These women also had some choices and opportunities in their personal lives, such as choosing their partners, expressing their opinions, developing their talents, or enjoying their hobbies. However, they were also constrained by some expectations and pressures in their personal lives, such as pleasing their parents, satisfying their husbands, bearing children, or maintaining their reputation. These women had some options and diversity in their religious beliefs, such as following the traditional Roman religion, which worshipped many gods and goddesses, such as Jupiter, Juno, Venus, or Minerva, or adopting new religions that came from other parts of the empire, such as Judaism, Christianity, Mithraism, or Isis cult. Some women even became leaders and teachers of Christian communities, such as Priscilla, Thecla, or Macrina. However, they were also subject to some regulations and restrictions in their religious beliefs, such as paying taxes, offering sacrifices to the emperor as a god, or being prosecuted or punished for following illegal or unpopular religions. They had some access and opportunity to education, such as learning to read and write, studying literature, philosophy, or history, or learning art, crafts, or music. However, they were also discouraged or restricted from education, such as being considered inferior or unsuitable for learning, being denied admission to schools or libraries, or being mocked or criticized for being educated. Women who belonged to the upper class or the elite had more opportunities and resources than women who belonged to the lower class or the poor. They had access to better education, healthcare, leisure activities, and personal freedom. They also had more influence and power in their families and communities. However, they were also expected to uphold higher standards of morality, dignity, and loyalty. They also faced more competition and pressure from their male counterparts or rivals. These women could also interact with powerful and famous men such as emperors, senators, generals, or philosophers. They were also subject to the scrutiny and criticism of their male peers or rivals. They had more access and influence in their religious beliefs than women who belonged to the lower class or the poor. They could build temples or shrines for their favorite gods or goddesses, donate money or goods to priests or temples, sponsor festivals or games for the public, or join priesthoods or cults that gave them prestige or power. They could also experiment with different religions that suited their tastes or interests. Moreover, they could afford to hire tutors or teachers, buy books or scrolls, attend lectures or seminars, or travel to places of learning. They could also display their knowledge and skills in public, such as writing poems or letters, giving speeches or advice, or patronizing scholars or artists. However, they were also expected to use their education for the benefit of their families or society, and not for their own interests or ambitions. Some examples of prominent women from elite families are Helena, the mother of Constantine, Pulcheria, the sister of Theodosius II, and Galla Placidia, the daughter of Theodosius I. Women who belonged to the lower class or the poor had fewer opportunities and resources than women who belonged to the upper class or the elite. However, they were also more flexible and adaptable to changing circumstances. They also faced more hardship and danger from their male oppressors or enemies. These women could dress in simple clothes and accessories, live in cramped apartments or huts, work hard and long hours, and struggle to survive. They could also interact with ordinary and humble men, such as farmers, artisans, soldiers, or slaves. They had less access and influence in their religious beliefs than women who belonged to the upper class or the elite. They could worship their local gods or goddesses, such as Lares, Penates, or Matres. They could also practice their own rituals or magic that suited their needs or desires. However, they were also expected to respect and obey the official religion of the state, which supported the emperor and his family as gods, and to avoid any religions that endangered their lives or livelihoods. They were also subject to the oppression and violence of their male masters or enemies of their religious choices or practices. They could not afford education. They could also not display their knowledge and skills in public, as they were considered unimportant or irrelevant. However, they were also more free and creative in their education, such as learning from their own experiences or observations, sharing stories or songs with each other, or practicing their own arts or crafts. Women who were married had different rights and obligations than women who were unmarried or widowed. Married women were also subject to the authority of their male relatives, such as their fathers, husbands, brothers, or sons. They needed their permission to manage their property, make contracts, or go to court. However, some legal reforms in the late empire gave women more rights and autonomy. For example, under the Emperor Constantine, women could inherit property equally with their brothers. Under the Emperor Justinian, women could initiate divorce and keep their dowry. Some women even managed to acquire wealth and influence through their own businesses or professions, such as shop owners, midwives, or prostitutes. These women were expected to be faithful, obedient, modest, and fruitful to their husbands. They could also benefit from their husbands' status or wealth if they were supportive or cooperative with them. However, they could also suffer from their husbands' abuse or neglect if they were hostile or incompatible with them. They had some influence or power in their families and communities, especially if their husbands were absent or dead. They had to balance their love and loyalty to their husbands with their own desires and needs. They also had to deal with their husbands' personalities, moods, habits, or affairs. They also had to bear and raise their children and educate and discipline them. They could also have some happiness or satisfaction in their marriages, especially if they had compatible or loving husbands. However, they could also have some happiness and dissatisfaction in their marriages. These women had to share and follow their husbands' religious beliefs, or at least tolerate and respect them. They also had to participate in their husbands' religious ceremonies, festivals, or sacrifices, or support their husbands' religious activities or duties. Moreover, they had to follow their husbands' wishes and opinions regarding their education, or at least respect and consult them. They also had to balance their education with their domestic duties and responsibilities, such as managing their households, raising their children, and supporting their husbands. They could also benefit from their husbands' education. Unmarried women were expected to remain virgins until they married and to obey and honor their fathers or brothers. They could also inherit or manage their own property if they had no male relatives or guardians. However, they could also be forced or arranged to marry someone they didn't love or respect by their fathers or brothers. They had some freedom and independence in their personal lives. However, they could also have some insecurity and vulnerability in their personal lives, especially if they had no family or friends to support them. They had more freedom and choice in their religious beliefs, or at least less interference and pressure from them. They could follow their own religious preferences, convictions, or experiences, or join their own religious communities or groups. Widowed women were free from the authority and protection of their husbands or fathers-in-law and could regain control over their property, children, and personal affairs. They could also remarry or remain single if they wished and pursue their own interests or careers. These women had to cope with the loss of their husbands and the changes in their lives. They also have to manage their property, children, and personal affairs all on their own. These are just some aspects of the life of a woman in the late Roman Empire with male rulers. So as you can see, women's lives were complex and varied depending on many factors. Some women faced oppression and discrimination, while others enjoyed freedom and empowerment. Thank you all for watching this video, and don't forget to leave a comment down below and let us know what you thought about this topic. See you next time, and bye for now.